All right, so this is third and brew, and yeah, this is our first little video podcast thing. Don't really know how to do it, so there's gonna be a lot of like awkward
There's going
silence,
to be some awkward silence, but there's going to be a lot of good information and awesome predictions. So,
maybe some awkward tension too when
could be.
we
There could be.
disagree.
We tend to disagree. We do tend to disagree.
Usually well, the plan is to have a third guy. He didn't show up tonight because he had like I don't know, like walk his girlfriend's cat or like do her laundry or something. So I
He's
don't know what
he's
he's
not
doing.
white. I'm not going to like play the race card, but he's not white. So, we'll leave it at
You,
that.
you can fill in the blanks there. There's millions of possibilities.
Yeah.
So none of which included having a job. But so we're gonna talk about some NFL draft. We're gonna probably
Yes. It's the eve
we're
of the
gonna do some
draft. So,
fancy. This will probably be a fantasy type of thing, fantasy football, maybe other sports. But the NFL draft has a big impact on fantasy.
fantasy. Big impact on fantasy.
Because let me be honest. I think about fantasy all the time, so it might as well be my reality. When I go
It's
to work, I
it's
think, how will this
reality
impact
football.
my fantasy team? Like, oh, I'm getting bad gas mileage. Will that affect my second running back? Every, Everything comes back to how my team will do. Team Jim Morrison, two-time champ. But
There we go.
there we go.
Here we
Uh,
go. Where's the
so,
stop broadcast button? No.
so anyway, I guess let's talk about the draft here. Me and Eddie have been watching the draft for many years. We've gotten some good predictions, bad predictions. I guess you don't really know. That's why Blaine Gabbert goes in the top 10 and
That's
Vontaze
yes.
Burfict goes undrafted, so
That's
I don't think anybody
yes.
really knows.
Montez who?
Vontaze who? I don't know. I don't know.
Montez who? I
Bengals.
don't know. But anyways, he probably has a criminal record. Pretty big one.
Pretty big, long rap sheet. Anyway, let's talk about the draft.
Number one pick, we got Houston Texans. New
Yeah,
coach in there.
I mean the big thing every year is you know, all the trade downs and you don't know what's smoke screen or what's real.
Right.
So I
And
guess you would just kind of assume. I would just assume no. Who would trade up for the first? That's my big thing
well,
because they keep talking
yeah.
about it. Who would actually trade up to one?
Well, assuming, you got to, I mean, who do you think is going number one? Is it Clowney, rare athlete, oh, this and that, we get it,
We
Falcons
get
maybe?
what I don't get is the 3.5 sacks, but
That's what I don't get.
because he got compared to some of the greatest defensive ends of all time. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, is it because they said Atlanta apparently is like obsessed with him? I don't know. I mean, do you trade like because they're saying they want like a Robert Griffin type of haul? I mean, do you trade your next three first rounds for a defensive end? Let's just say Jadeveon Clowney becomes the greatest D end of like our generation. I mean, is that still worth your next three drafts? Like, can a defensive end
Well,
impact
yeah, I
your
mean,
team
just
that much?
you go back to the Falcons with Julio Jones. They gave up a lot to get Julio. Do you think they redo that move? Would they still do it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have to give up nearly what apparently this is. I think they gave up was it a one first for Julio, and
Mhm.
people thought that was a lot. But I mean, I guess Atlanta it makes some sense just because their offense is pretty much. I mean, they need offensive line, but apparently that's not cool enough to take.
No, it's not
Yeah,
sexy. It's
speaking of
sexy about that.
fantasy, they fucking ruined Matt Ryan for me last year. But
Here we go.
here we go. So I did two-time champ, not last year. Matt Ryan, Jay Cutler, but yeah, I mean, I guess that team makes a little more sense to trade off three firsts because you feel like your offense is in a good place. You get a defensive changer kind of guy like that. But I mean, their secondary's still rough and their offensive line's still rough. I just don't think even if he is,
Yeah.
this great player, I don't know if he can turn around a team like that. And I mean, just Washington, or do you think they're happy with what they gave up for Robert Griffin?
Robert Griffin's rookie guy or this guy we've seen last year? Ooh.
Right. I mean, they had one nice,
Speaking of
fun year.
fantasy,
You think with fantasy, Rob Griffin being good again,
yeah,
fantasy.
that would have helped my team last year.
But I mean, they had one fun year. They made the playoffs. But now look at them. If they didn't do that, they'd they
Yeah.
they get with a second pick in the draft.
Yeah, and it's hard to predict. Someone to trade the number one pick. It's probably not going to happen. I don't know how often it's actually happened. Would you know off the top of your head? Has it ever
trading up
happened?
for number one.
The number one? Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's happened before. I can't really.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Eli
Let's just,
Manning. They traded up for Eli Manning.
that was for number
Giants
one
did.
pick.
Yeah, that was the San Diego had the number one. Giants had the four,
All
but they
right,
just kind
that
of
was a
swapped
good
quarterbacks.
two Super Bowls out of it. Good move, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he had two good little runs there. So,
But
but I mean, that's
Is
quarterback. Those
Clowney?
quarterbacks,
Yeah.
quarterbacks can
Clowney's not
change
winning you
something,
two Super Bowls.
right? Like I just don't. Yeah, he's not coming in there and going to be the greatest player ever. Even if he is, I don't know if that's worth trading your whole future. I guess it's just
So
how.
yeah. So with that, let's assume. I guess neither of us are predicting a trade for number one.
Yeah, so I would just assume it's
So
Clowney.
yeah, I assume Houston's going Clowney. Everything else I think is a smoke screen. A lot of BS coming out, but I think
Right.
it's
I think
Clowney
the
all the
only
way.
reason they talk about quarterback is to get someone scared to trade it up
Yeah,
because they're scared that they won't get their quarterback. But there's just no, even though a
yeah.
few of these guys seem like should be solid quarterbacks, there's no way they should go number one, and even more like anyone trading up for them to go number one. Like if you take them number one of those guys because you kind of need a quarterback, that makes sense. But someone trading 3 first-round picks for Johnny Manziel or Blake Bortles, I mean that's just asinine. Like it's just guaranteed not to be good
Yes,
if you do that.
asinine it is. Asinine it is. Yeah, Clowney, physically probably one of the best athletes we've seen in who knows how many years. A lot of question marks though, but we could probably agree he's probably gonna be the number one pick. I mean, I guess you got to
Yeah,
take
I
that
mean
potential.
the upside's there, and they're sitting there, and I mean they don't their quarterback situation's a mess, obviously, but the idea of pairing him with Watt and
Yeah,
you know
it's yeah, him and J.J. Watt. That's a good place to start on the defensive
yeah,
line,
and
but
maybe you just lean on Arian Foster, and you just hope you can find something in the second round because there
can you
should be
still
some
can you
guys that
still can you still lean on Foster? Ooh, I don't know.
yeah,
Fantasy?
well, I mean
Back to fantasy.
back to fantasy. That's a fantasy. I mean they let Ben Tate go. They
Yeah,
said see you later. Not that he's been Mr. Healthy either, but there's got to be something there. You think, well, he had the best backup in football. You let him walk. I mean, maybe they draft a guy
yeah, they
to
could draft maybe someone in the second round, but Ben
didn't
Tate, another
they
sleeper
may
pick.
have they may have signed someone in the offseason. I mean, I'm still a little rusty. I think
Yeah.
they may have signed a backup guy, but yeah, I
All right, so we
mean,
got Houston number one,
I think
Clowney's.
Clowney's too
Yeah,
sexy to pass up.
yeah, he's sexy to pass up, a rare athlete. But we dropped to number two, St. Louis Rams. That's where it gets interesting. A lot of trade talk here.
Right,
They trading
that's where
now.
we can see a
Yeah,
trade because
yeah, that's
obviously
where the trade. Yes,
they've showed that they've had a willingness to make a trade. But
right.
I mean, let me move my laptop. But I don't know. I mean, they've actually. I mean, since you're a Bucks fan, I mean, have you been hearing about they're talking about trade the
Yeah,
Bucks trading up?
the smoke screen today was the Bucks wanted to trade for number two to get old Johnny Football, to put some passes in his Tampa. Me, not a fan. I don't want Johnny Manziel. Don't even want him in the first round. That's a little harsh. There, I said it though. I said it. Undersized, average athlete, kind of an arrogant little shithead, if I'm allowed to say that.
I don't think there's a rating on this. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah,
Fuck him.
I'm
How
gonna,
about that?
I'm gonna say he's a shithead, so I don't want him at number two. But yeah, Buccaneers been talking about trading up. Falcons possibly if the Texans don't take Clowney, maybe they do trade.
Yeah, because
Way up.
it
Maybe
seems
they
like
can
it may
get
be a little easier to trade with the
yeah,
Rams because they seems
yeah,
like they're wanting to trade out, whereas the Texans
yeah,
aren't wanting. They're just saying
right.
that someone could. Yeah, I mean, if the Texans did go with Johnny Manziel number one, which just
Yeah,
sounds hilarious to me.
it sounds funny for me, but
Johnny Manziel going number one in the draft. I mean, if he goes number one, he can just thank Russell Wilson for like this cool short quarterback thing
yeah.
working.
Russell Wilson. Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends who actually played some Division I college football, and right when I said, "What do you think about Johnny Manziel?" He says Russell Wilson, and I'm like, dude, I respect you, but at the same time, I don't respect you anymore.
The respect is gone. I
But
mean, yeah, if he gets taken number one, he should send half his check to Russell Wilson since he's making $500,000 a year. And now it's cool to think that like undersized guys can still do it. Like now that's the narrative.
yeah, it's the norm now because there's Russell Wilson, so now every undersized guy will be Russell Wilson or Drew Brees. It makes sense.
I can't wait for Ron Jaworski or somebody. You know what? You can't measure his heart. You can measure his height. You can't measure his heart.
So let's just say the Rams, just for the purpose of this little mock draft breakdown. Let's say they stay at 2. I mean, I think Greg Robinson. If you're sticking with Sam Bradford, if you're saying he's your future guy, which I think me and Ian, we both agree, there's still hope for Bradford, and I think Greg Robinson makes a ton of sense. I mean, he's been compared to Orlando Pace, the greatest offensive tackle of all time,
and a Ram. So that's kind of cool to keep that. Yeah, it's a no doubter if they actually believe in Sam Bradford. Which, I mean, Sam Bradford was playing pretty good football last year, and I mean, I don't understand what people expect out of him. He hasn't had a running back. He hasn't had receivers. He hasn't had an offensive line.
Yeah.
He hasn't had any help, and they're finally starting to get some guys with him. But he was playing pretty good last year. But like Chris Givens and Austin Pettis and Brian Quick and
Tavon Austin,
like these guys, they're all like nice little pieces, but I mean, they're not bringing his level up. And
the guy there, so
yeah, and I mean Zach Stacy didn't even really start. Like I think he only played with Bradford for a week or two. I think Bradford got hurt like week 6 or 7. Zach Stacy on my fantasy team, pick up of the year. But
pick up of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess going forward with him, he looks like a nice running back. Isaiah Peed, that Cincinnati thing, like the swag will come back.
But he's kind of looking like a pretty big bust, but we won't go into that one.
I mean, you would think that one of him or Darrell Richardson could be a nice backup for Zach Stacy. Yeah. I think running back's like the only thing they got looking solid. Maybe one of those receivers. I mean, also they do have pick 13 too, so they could get.
They're saying this is one of the deepest drafts ever for a wide receiver. You get your franchise offensive tackle, Greg Robinson, to 13. You take any number of the receivers that could be there.
Yeah, it's not looking like Mike Evans there, which I don't like Mike Evans, so that would be a bad call. But yeah, I mean, somebody could be there, or I mean, I would think a team that has had a lot of offensive line issues. You got a guy just screaming to be taken by you. If somebody offers you their first and next year's first and a second, like Tampa Bay or Detroit or somebody, whoever they're saying could trade up, then yeah, you do it. And then you take maybe, what was it, Jake Matthews is the other one.
There's Jake Matthews is the other.
There's the other guy. Maybe you get him at 7 or 8 or something, and, you kind of move forward from there. But I think the Rams are in a good spot. They have a lot of talent, and I think they should stick with Sam Bradford because, I mean, if there was a guy like Andrew Luck or somebody, obviously that's a no-brainer, but you can't tell me for sure one of these guys are going to be better than Sam Bradford.
Every week it's been Bortles is up, Bortles is down, Manziel up. It's been the carousel. So
right. I mean,
definitely not.
I'd say if someone offers them a nice package, trade down. If not, just take Greg Robinson. Don't get fancy. Just you got to fill out every position.
I agree. Eventually. Got to get that tackle. It's not sexy, but it's important. And if you want
I'm a Rams fan, I'm like,
I'm blah, but at the same time, I'm like, do I want Bradford to be on the sideline when we're paying him? What are they paying him, like $80 million or something still?
Right. Yeah. I mean, no, I think he's the third highest paid quarterback. Yeah. He's like $100 million. Yeah, like some crazy number.
It was the last quarterback before they had the new bargaining agreement thing. So
yeah, before all these big extensions. Yeah, I'd like to see a full year with a decent line, Zach Stacy behind him, those receivers, and then like their defense is already really good. They have a really good defense.
Yeah, they do a good young defense for sure.
So. Yeah, I mean they're just going to get better. They probably need a safety, but. Well, 7 rounds over 3 days.
True. Well, tomorrow's only round 1. Thank you, Roger Goodell. I would not want to watch multiple rounds in one night. Let's see. Number 3, Jacksonville Jaguars. Who are they?
I think they're like this new expansion team.
Right, they're an expansion team. That's right. Yeah.
I think Tim Tebow like bought a team and he opened it up. I think they're like the Jacksonville Monks or something like that.
Jacksonville Monks. That wouldn't surprise me. Well, I mean,
I mean, I
wow,
mean,
where to begin?
where to begin? I mean, I guess Sammy Watkins is apparently the big one, so that's why some teams
Yes.
try and trade to two to get Watkins ahead of him. We were talking about this a couple of days ago. I mean, he even like Sammy Watkins could be a great receiver, that's fine, but what does that do for that team? And I guess you got to do,
Yeah.
you fill it out one at a time, so you can't really think about what will that do for you this year. So if he's that good, if you got that much talent, you like it, but at a certain point, someone's got to throw to him because he's not going to stick around and wait for you to have a quarterback. And
Yeah,
Chad Henne's not doing it.
I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, if they're staying there, you got to go. I think it's go best player available because they have so many needs. If they think that's Sammy Watkins, maybe Khalil Mack,
And really
any
anything
number
like
of guys.
none of
Yeah,
those
they can
guys are going
go
to change
Dave
it.
Matthews. Yeah.
Yeah, none of them's going to change day one, but that's not the point. It's just you gotta get talent. I mean, they have nothing.
So for the sake of the mock draft, who are the Jags picking at 3?
I mean,
To you.
the best player is Sammy Watkins.
We're gonna disagree a little bit here. I'm gonna say Khalil Mack here. I think
Because
I think
you
he's
went
got-
Watkins at 7.
It has absolutely nothing to do with me wanting Sammy Watkins and Vincent Jackson. Nothing to do with that.
You should want a quarterback.
I don't want any of these quarterbacks. So maybe Blake Bortles, but
I guess we're a little biased because we went to high school with him. No big deal. I guess that means
we did go to
know
high
what I'm talking
school. Vito High School, Vito Lions, class of '08. It happened.
about. It happened. Did I play? Not really. But, still pretend I did.
So your
Yeah.
pick is you're going Watkins at 3?
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm believing the smoke screens. I don't. I mean,
I don't know. I didn't ask. Do you know?
There's
I
all
said,
there's
you
all these
Watkins at 3.
there's all these riddles you have to
No,
decipher around this time.
there's none. You just pick one.
All right,
Watkins
I'll
go 3.
say I think Watkins is the best player. I think he's
All
a
right.
better player than Khalil Mack.
All right, I'm going Khalil Mack at 3 because it's the Jags, and it only makes sense that they would kind of mess it up.
You got a guy walking, screaming at you, and you take a linebacker.
They still got Justin Blackman there, so
Yeah,
Right.
he'll play in a couple years.
yeah, he might be in a couple of years because of his, his fifth DUI. He could still be a good player.
I hear they do all kinds of cool workouts at rehab. They stay in shape really well.
Let's see. So we got Sammy Watkins, Khalil Mack, which brings us to Cleveland, your favorite team at number 4.
No. No, he's lying. I like the Bengals, which isn't a cooler thing to say. But they're going. Did you see Jay Glazer today saying that they would absolutely not take Johnny Manziel with their first
Yeah.
pick?
Yeah,
He
they
left the
definitely
door
not.
open.
Yeah. For
Definitely.
the second pick, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean,
Well, I said all along I thought Manziel would go to Cleveland or Oakland. I'm starting to think Cleveland might go with the way I have my mock draft going with if Mack goes 3 to Jacksonville, I think Watkins falls into Cleveland's lap at 4. You get Josh Gordon and Sammy Watkins. You don't have anyone to throw him the ball, but do you need someone to throw him the ball?
I mean, with the two of them and Jordan Cameron,
Yeah,
and
Jordan Cameron.
they signed Ben Tate,
Ben Tate, yep.
and they already have a really good defense. I mean, that would be great for them, but I mean, then what do you pray Bridgewater or Carr's there at
Yeah.
25?
Yeah, I think one of them should be there. One of them, you got
One of
three
those
quarterbacks.
four
Yeah,
fall.
one of them
There's
will
no.
fall.
I can't imagine all of them going early. Like the
Derek-
teams that
yeah.
the teams that really need quarterback. I mean, like Minnesota looks like they really need a quarterback, and Oakland could definitely use a quarterback. But I'd say, I mean, how many quarterbacks do you think actually go in the top 10? Because all these mocks have all 4 of them going up there. How many do you think actually go in the top 10?
That's a tough question. I really there's not a sure. Can you tell me for sure there's one quarterback that's 100% going to go in the top 10? Maybe Manziel. I don't know.
I would be completely 100% not surprised if none of them go in the top 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I really wouldn't. Then at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if 3 of them.
If all of them
top
go,
10.
because it's all personal opinion on them. Like nobody really seems to have like a good average opinion on like the top quarterback. So if one team likes him, then I mean, who knows? Like Bridgewater could still go number one. Maybe he's just not bringing it up for a reason. Like I don't know.
I'll say I'm gonna say Johnny Manziel and Blake Bortles go top 10. I'm gonna say that, but I think it's just those two. That's my
Yeah.
prediction.
I
Said
mean,
it.
I think if you go by what the insiders are saying, then those seem like the two guys up top. It seems like Carr's kind of gaining some ground, and Bridgewater's falling for because he didn't. I think he incompleted 7 passes at his pro day.
It's pro day.
So
He
like
didn't have a good pro day.
so like I think Manziel only missed 2, Bortles only missed 3, Bridgewater misses 7, so he drops like apparently out of the
You
first
gotta
round.
drop.
That makes
You gotta drop.
you got.
You gotta drop.
I mean, got to drop him. I don't look at that film. I don't look at anything else. His pro day, he missed a few throws. Better drop him out
I'm
of the first
dropping
round.
him. He's gone. Dropping him. So let's see. We got so who you going with for Cleveland for sure? Who's
Well, I
your
mean,
pick?
if Watkins isn't there, I think they're messing around. I think they go Manziel. I think they're lying.
You think it's all
I
a
think
big
it's all
joke?
it's all a big joke. I don't know what the joke is. I think what the joke is they're afraid someone's going to trade ahead of them to get Manziel, so they're putting out a report that they won't take him. So that maybe Oakland thinks, well, they're not going to take him, so we'll take him at 5.
Yeah.
There's no reason the day before the draft they would just come out and be like, we're definitely not taking him, but maybe later. Like that doesn't make any sense to do that.
Yeah, I think if Watkins is there at 4, and it's gonna be tough for them to pick between Manziel and Watkins, but it wouldn't surprise me either way. It's Cleveland, so I think I'm gonna go Manziel at 4. I'm gonna go Manziel. Even
Yeah,
though I think it should be Watkins.
I think it's strange that they just would just have a report come out saying that
Yeah.
we're not going to take him. That seems bizarre. There's an angle there, so.
Browns fans would love to rally behind Manziel too, whether it's good or bad. They'll
Yeah,
support him.
They're just great people up there.
They'll follow him off a cliff. So,
Hopefully, the whole city can fall off a cliff.
oh, shots fired, Kyle, member in our fantasy football league.
Yeah, I don't care. Go 500 and talk to me.
All right, so what we got next?
I mean, are we doing like the whole like? What are we doing
Oh,
here?
let's just go for the top 10. Let's
Okay.
do the top 10. The ones people care about. Then we can talk about some of the later picks we think might be interesting.
All right, so Oakland.
Oakland, such a great draft in history. Just a great, rich draft
Well,
history.
The thing about them is, who the hell knows? You know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna say this: if Sammy Watkins is there, dreads check, speed check, kind of a cool name check. Sammy Watkins all the way.
yeah, if he's there, definitely. I can't fathom him not. I can't fathom him being there at 5 though. Well, this is good. This is a good video right here.
Sorry guys, had to make a run. Got cops recording here. Need to make sure it records.
This is a rerun from 15 years ago.
No, these are pretty updated actually. Very, very good stuff. The
lot
ones on
of crack.
CMT,
Lot
the
of
country
crack
one.
cocaine.
Oh, it's
Oh,
good. Those,
I'm
the
sure
sure trash is it's great.
talking about a guy stealing another guy's dog. That's probably
Yeah.
the big.
Or the
big-
tractor one stole my tractor.
Stole my tractor. He stole my dog. He stole my sister/wife.
The black ones aren't as good. They're not as good. There's nothing too interesting about them. We don't want to go down this road too much,
Because we're gonna have to cut this thing really quick.
so we'll stop it right there. Get back
Whites
to
all
the
we
draft.
We already started with racism. That was the intro. Was racism.
Racism sells.
Well, since you're moving around, I guess I'm just gonna grab a smoke here, fans.
I'm stationary now.
for all the-
so we'll go back.
For all the kids watching at home, cigarettes are good. They make you feel good. They make you look cool. I'd recommend them to anyone, really.
I would
what
not
if-
recommend them.
So kids,
Right.
what I'm saying is, go into your parents' room while they're sleeping, steal $6 out, go get your pack of Marlboro Reds. It's time to look cool.
So we're gonna go back to the draft after our little cops and smoking tirade, and we got we're still talking Oakland right now. Still talking Oakland.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess if we're going off what I said, Manziel and Watkins are gone. I don't know, man. Khalil Mack has
It's
got to
Khalil
be.
Mack. Yeah. If Watkins and Manziel are gone, yeah, it's Khalil Mack all the way. I would bet everything on that. But
Because he's in that elite thing. He's in that elite group from the other guys. So if he's there, I can't imagine a team passing him up because he's a good athlete. He seems like Oakland can use anything right now, and maybe a big time linebacker can start that turnaround there.
it's not a bad place to start. Come off the edge, can kind of do a little bit of everything. I gotta watch him tear up my Buckeyes this year. They didn't tear us up on the scoreboard, but he tore us up. I think he had a pick six from like 80 yards out. He's fast.
Yeah, that guy's a freak. I think I don't know, like the last time I said this about a linebacker, it was Aaron Curry.
Aaron Curry.
So the last time I said this guy's just the safest pick in the draft, you plug him in, he'll be a nice player. I said that about Aaron Curry.
He's not in the NFL anymore.
But he was gone really quick, so I guess nothing is safe.
He wasn't so safe.
You would think linebackers got to be the safest thing. It's just you see a guy, you tackle him.
Khalil Mack's a real deal. I like Khalil Mack a lot. I think he'd be good in Oakland. I think Oakland, if Manziel's gone, it's Watkins or Mack, assuming they're both there.
So we have the same five in the top five. So we agree that those are the top five prospects. The top five,
you got Clowney, Greg Robinson, Sammy Watkins. I guess we're throwing Johnny Manziel in there, and then Khalil Mack is the top five.
I would guess that those are the top five prospects. I don't know.
Assuming
they want a quarterback.
Yeah, one of those quarterbacks has to be in the top five, I guess.
Those other four are clearly the top four prospects, I think.
Yeah, the other four for sure.
The only way that one of them goes past four, I would say, is if a quarterback jumps ahead. I can't see any of those four falling after the fourth picks other than Manziel or Bortles.
Let's see. So moving on, the Falcons at 6.
So who are we looking at here? If Jake Matthews or Anthony Barr?
Jake Matthews, assuming, I would think Anthony Barr. I think they would really like someone on the defensive line and linebacker like Khalil Mack or Clowney, but if they're not making a trade up, probably going to be.
Yeah, if they're
Jake Matthews, it's like ugh.
If they're apparently wanting to trade all this stuff for Jadeveon Clowney, you would think that they think defensive ends are the most pressing need. So then Anthony Barr would make the most sense, I guess.
Yeah, it could be a little reach, but it's funny because it was about 2 months ago. Anthony Barr was ahead of Khalil Mack on every
everybody. He was going number 2 everywhere.
Yeah, and now Mack's just completely overshot him.
Which is fine with me. It makes sense. One guy went to Buffalo, one guy went to Cal, so the Buffalo guy is always going to take more time. It's like Jimmy Garoppolo. No one knew his name. Now he's the second-round sleeper of the draft.
There you have it.
There it is. I would say if they're wanting a defensive end that bad, then I would assume Anthony Barr. They would just go with the best end available.
Yeah, I would say if they, I think if they stay at 6. I think it's going to be Jake Matthews because Jake Matthews could be he's a top 5 talent. Not like at 6 it's that far of a drop off, but I think that makes sense to protect Matt Ryan a little bit.
Either one of those make the most sense to me. If they took another position, I wouldn't get it, but they have trouble. They have bad lines on both sides of the ball, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go line on one side or the other.
We're agreeing a lot. I don't know if I like this. I don't like agreeing with you.
What do you want me to say?
Say I'm stupid for saying Jake Matthews or something.
That makes sense, though. Who wouldn't think Jake Matthews there?
Say I'm retarded. I don't know.
Well, that's offensive. Better cut it.
Not retarded, like you're a retard, you're just acting retarded.
Well, that makes it a lot better.
So. All right, well, should we move on to my Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I know that's why we're doing. We might as well stop at 7.
We might as well stop at 7. Plus, I have 12% left on my battery, so who knows what that means.
This thing is just draining the battery.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's 7. Ooh.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I mean,
Whoa,
I've
knew
told you
it.
about it. I think them signing Josh McCown and saying they're not committing to, um, I forgot, Glennon.
Glennon?
Like
Yeah.
they're non-committal to him. They bring in Josh McCown. It seems like Josh McCown's they're in case they don't get a quarterback at 7, or if they want the guy at 7 to sit. I think quarterback makes most sense because their defense already looks good. They have offensive weapons. It just screams quarterback to me.
See, and I get that to an extent, but it's like you got Glennon who at least seems like he's capable to be a backup. So if you're gonna bring in McCown, for five million for 2 years, 10 million total, and then you're gonna draft a quarterback in the first round, top 10, it seems like what's the word, you just cut in Mike Glennon? I don't know. It seems a little. I just don't agree with it, but
Maybe they're trying to trade him for like a 6th round pick or something. I mean,
yeah, you might get the yeah.
there's got to be something, man. There's rumors of them trading up to 2. They're bringing in McCown. He won't say anything good about Glennon. Like the
Yeah,
writing's
you
on the
you might
wall
be
there.
right. Yeah, you're probably right, but I'm just saying from the GM standpoint, I don't agree with how they've handled it. If you bring in McCown to just be a backup, I just don't agree with it. When you have Glennon, that's fine. If you want to draft Manziel, you want to draft Bortles, Bridgewater, whatever, that's fine. Have Glennon back him up. We don't need to pay 10 million to a guy that's not going to play a game. But
I mean, yeah, because I think all that says is they want to win now, and they just really don't like Mike Glennon. I mean,
yeah,
that's what it seems to me like. They think we want to win now, so if we don't get our quarterback, we're not ready to start him right away. We'd rather have Josh McCown, who had 6 good games in his career.
so so if they're sitting there in the draft and Manziel's gone, assuming all these reports are true, they want Manziel, which I don't believe it. I refuse to believe Lovie Smith wants
He's gonna buy into that
Johnny
garbage.
Manziel. Yeah, I refuse to believe it. I would think a Teddy Bridgewater, Blake Bortles, maybe Derek Carr makes more sense than a Lovie Smith type team. Johnny Manziel, I don't buy it. So
Here's my shocker. You ready?
Derek Carr.
Yeah, Derek Carr. I'm saying Derek Carr. I think they take him at
Derek
7.
Carr. Um, I could see it. It wouldn't shock me so much. Would I
It's a
rather have
shocker.
Derek Carr over Blake Bortles and Bridgewater? No, I wouldn't. So yeah, it's a shocker.
It's a shocker. More just anger, really.
I think I would take Bridgewater and Bortles both over Carr. Carr is just there's something I just don't know about Carr. I don't know what it is. There's just something that's like, wait, there has to be something wrong with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to look at his numbers. He went to Fresno State, but he just seems like that classic. There's enough mystery to him to where you sell yourself on that mystery. Like he put up big
Ben
numbers,
Roethlisberger.
right? Like you're like, you don't know for sure about him, but he put up really good numbers. His brother, even though he didn't work out, he was still an NFL quarterback. He's got the big arm. I just think that like that kind of thing kind of it lets your imagination run a little bit more than Bridgewater's just he is what he is. I like Bridgewater. I think
Right.
he's the best quarterback of the group because he's nice and solid. He's got good accuracy. He's just a nice, solid player. I don't see him being a terrible
It's funny because what you say like with Manziel, the whole thing is like, oh well, Russell Wilson, he's short, blah blah blah. But then when Bridgewater, they say, well, he's short, he's not
Yeah,
really
he's
an
too
athlete.
short because he's
Yeah,
not sexy right now.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's
People
kind
are
of funny.
They use the Wilson to validate their Manziel thing, but Bridgewater they don't know what to say because there's nothing wrong with him. Now, if
Right.
you want to say maybe his arm strength isn't all the way there, I'll give you that. But you can't do the short thing when Manziel's shorter than him. It doesn't make
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
so
I think I'm feeling Derek Carr because he's got the big arm. I think he wants a big arm kind of guy, kind of.
but it's like that. I mean, you got a big arm and Mike Glennon sitting on the bench, a big goofy 6'6" white guy who can
big
go at
goofy
70
terrible.
yards. So I think if they stay at 7, I mean, I'm not in love with the pick, but I think a receiver like a Mike Evans, something like that's going to make more sense. I don't know. But all signs, they do kind of point to like drafting a
I mean, it's
quarterback.
just
I just
winning
don't
quarterbacks
really agree
so
with it.
much.
I just don't really agree with it. And if they're going quarterback, I think it should be Blake Bortles. So Blake Bortles or Teddy Bridgewater.
So if Manziel's gone and there's Bortles, Manziel, and Bridgewater, or not, I'm not Manziel. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Carr. Those three
are.
there, you want Bortles. You
I
like
want, I
them.
want, I want Bortles. I think Bortles is just to be just a good NFL quarterback. Like he's big, he's got the arm. It's not a huge arm. His release is a little bit slow, but I just think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. And I don't know about all those other guys. But you can say I think Blake Bortles is a good kind of safe guy, like a little maybe better version of Andy Dalton, maybe if you will. Like
I mean, I think he's a little bit taller, a little better arm, a little faster than Dalton kind of thing.
right.
And I mean, the
Oh,
big thing with Dalton coming out was his accuracy, and that's been his worst quality as an NFL player. So you just never really know.
yeah,
I
you
mean,
don't know.
that was the big selling point is how good his accuracy could be. And then like the same thing Bridgewater, maybe his accuracy is terrible. I've heard a lot of people comparing Bridgewater to Dalton,
Yeah,
which
man.
is
Which
like that's a
two,
nightmare.
two Andy Daltons in the
Too
league?
many
Yikes.
Daltons in the league. That's too many.
That's too many there. So you're going Derek Carr at 7.
Yeah, I think Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I think they give us some boners. They finally switch it up here.
I'm gonna go Mike Evans. I think they're gonna take a receiver.
Do you like Mike Evans? I don't like Mike Evans.
I Mike Evans he's tough. I've watched a lot of film on him because we've been mocked Mike Evans a lot, so I'm trying to like him just in case we do
Accept it
draft him.
more if it happens.
And I just can't tell. He's not super fast. He doesn't run great routes, but he's huge. Like he's honestly like a tight end, really. He's like a tight end.
Yeah.
They compare him to Vincent Jackson, so I'll say if we go Mike Evans, I'll hope that our GM did their homework and he does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Evans thing, like you said, he's not really fast. That doesn't run great routes. He doesn't have great hands. I don't know. There's nothing about him that I'm like, I don't know. It really gets me. What's going on? Technical difficulties here. Eddie dropped out. I don't know if I'm still doing this. He's calling me right now. What's up, man? Yeah, I'm still live though, so like, I'm trying. You just left me hang. Yeah, I'm just talking. I'm trying to like send this to YouTube. Yeah, I mean, I'm still on here. I wonder if I leave call, will it just end it? Yeah, 'cause this is awkward. Okay, bye.